to go through, and we are running over.
Okay.
Could we sort of do it a little, accelerate the presentation?
Pick up the pace, yes.
Yeah.
Maybe what we should do is show the video and be done with it.
Okay. Why don't you do that?
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. What we'd like to do is show you a very brief concluding video and end the presentation right there.
Perfect, perfect.
Building on last year's momentum, 2014 marked another successful year for the Capital Region Economic Development Council, reaffirming that Tech Valley is advancing. With nearly $1.4 billion of investment, more than 20,000 jobs have been created and retained in the Capital Region over the past 3 years. And unemployment is at its lowest levels since 2008. Enhanced regional strategies and new priority projects have the Capital Region positioned once again for even greater success in the years ahead. With new investments aligned with our strategic goals, Tech Valley will be advancing beyond the present by bolstering our regional and statewide economy, protecting life and property of both individuals and businesses, and building a 21st century infrastructure for defense, paper, and emerging high-tech industries. With increased market share, expanded international trade, and the development of new and innovative technologies, Tech Valley will be advancing beyond our boundaries. Through Startup New York-sponsored new businesses and jobs, innovation hotspot entrepreneurs and startup companies, and Global New York-generated foreign investment and export. With a focus on preparing for tomorrow, spotlighting our strengths, and bringing our cities to life, Tech Valley will be taking us beyond our imagination by providing our veterans with new job and business pathways, expanding the opportunity agenda to include both urban and rural areas, strengthening our region's arts, cultural, and tourism destinations, revitalizing our cities with riverfront and downtown redevelopment, and building sustainable communities that empower smart growth. 2014 was a remarkable year for the Capital Region Economic Development Council, but none of this would have been possible without our greatest asset, the people who live and work in Tech Valley. This past year's unprecedented public involvement and participation in the Council's work only reinforces what co-chairs Jim Barba and Robert Jones have long said. There is no substitute for the collective power of experience, knowledge, and the desire to secure the future of our region. Through locally driven, community-based economic development strategies, Tech Valley is advancing beyond the present, beyond our boundaries, beyond our imagination.
Thank you very much.
Let me quickly introduce the members of our SEAT team. Where are they? Well, to my immediate right, Jerry Boone, but let me see if I can get the entire list. Jerry Boone is the head of the Civil Service Commission. Roanne DeStito is our Commissioner of General Services. Matt Driscoll is the President and CEO of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation. We've also got with us Colonel Eric Hesse, who is the Director of our Division of Veterans Affairs. We've got a guest member of our SEAT team from the federal government. His name is Patrick Kerwin, and he directs the Trade Promotion Coordinating Committee of the federal government. And he's here to, particularly interested in global New York. And we've got on the end, Tom Maddox, who is the Commissioner of Taxation and Finance. That is our team. And let me begin the questioning, and very directly, because Omar sort of invited this question. For the audience to understand, the opportunity agenda was something that the governor made part of this process because you wanted to ensure that as we developed economically, as we created jobs, that no one would be left behind, and that people who have traditionally met with obstacles to getting jobs would profit from the good work, the effective work of these regional economic development councils. So, Omar, I'm very interested in learning what has happened as a result of your prior efforts at creating these opportunities, particularly last year.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. First and foremost, we've got Harris Oberlander in the crowd that actually runs the Trinity Alliance for our big Opportunity Agenda project from last round, which provides opportunities in education at a culinary kitchen down in South Albany. It's a fantastic project that we focused on last round because it was in a census tract that we identified as part of 3 census tracts in downtown Albany, downtown Troy, and downtown Schenectady that had underprivileged and underutilized urban core residents. Frankly, the opportunities that were created for minority and women-owned businesses and minorities in our community right there with the campus itself has been fantastic. We've taken the ideas from that round, which we were awarded $100,000 as part of last year's funding, and carried it on to our 8 goals and strategies for this round. We've expanded.
But how are we doing with the Culinary Institute, the operation itself? Where is that?
Sir, furniture, I just heard, is being delivered this week.
The ribbon cutting is October the 6th. I think that's the first Monday in October.
And you'll have how many people participating in taking classes on cooking and serving?
If I may, Harris Oberlander, the executive director, is here.
Wonderful.
Harris, would you stand up, please? And you brought a student with you, I understand.
Opportunity Agenda funds were not for the kitchen itself. That's a federally funded, 1 in 10 awarded around the country, $5 million project called the Capital South Campus Center. Residing in this CSCC is a facility that you are funding through the leadership of the Regional Economic Development Council of the Capital Region called the Attain Lab. Advanced Technology and Information Networking Lab, operated by SUNY Workforce Development, partnership with us, partnership with the College of Nanoscale Science and Engineering, and a young man by the name of Josh, who through our efforts running a GED now known as high school equivalency classroom with BOCES of the Capital Region, recently got his HSE and is in the process of enrolling, or is enrolling with HBCC. In the process of enrolling with HBCC, who would like to be an aerospace engineer.
All right, well, thank you very much.
I think importantly, Mr. Secretary, what we did this year in 2014 is we took the lessons that we felt we learned in 2013 with the Opportunity Agenda, and we instructed anyone who wanted to apply for a CFA to tell the council how exactly the Opportunity Agenda themes were going to tie into the application for whatever program that was. And in doing the scoring of our projects, particularly the priority projects, those applications with the correct themes for the Opportunity Agenda were very important to us.
Great. Very good. Commissioner Boone.
Thank you, and I want to thank the dedicated work of the panel. I'm a resident of the Capital Region, so I have a heightened appreciation for the momentum that's occurring, and I'm seeing it and I'm feeling it. So I want to thank you as a local citizen of the area as well as New York State for your hard work. You're making progress. I'm curious to know, you talked about, touched on all of your areas, and it seems that you do have a very robust public engagement effort, outreach, focus on regional collaboration, certainly technology, all over that. and education, tourism is up, global New York focus. So of all these initiatives, which one, upon reflection, and I know you haven't had much opportunity for reflection, would you give more impetus to or have the greatest concern about?
Well, I'll make a lot of enemies by answering this question, as I suspect any one of us would. But probably each of the panel members and each of the council members would answer this question differently. It's a matter of, I guess, personal bias as someone who is also a resident of this region. To me, to have watched the initial investment that Governor Mario Cuomo made in nanotechnology and what became the College for Nanoscale Science and Engineering, it now has a new name, as you know, and then to watch the investment that the current governor, Andrew Cuomo, has made in the same initiatives has been extraordinarily rewarding. I mean, if ever one wanted to see good money chasing after good money, good investments after good investments, doubling down on what turned out to be a brilliant initiative, to me, it's nanotechnology. It leads all of the technologies, and as you say, Commissioner, we're a high-tech, I think, region. And among the things of which I'm most proud, I'm proud of the fact that I think we are the world center for nanotechnology. I'm particularly proud of the fact that what has been learned in Albany and worked on in Albany and invested in Albany is now being exported to much of the rest of New York State, certainly to all of upstate New York. But that's just my opinion. Maybe, I'm sure someone, agribusiness, the arts, culture and tourism, we could go on.
I appreciate the opportunity to make a comment. I think we've learned through the process to connect with our rural surroundings, and we've seen an increase in the number of CFAs coming in from the more rural counties around the urban center. And we have some great representation sitting here today. An individual who has a Food Network program, Nancy Fuller, Ecovative, where we've shown these direct connections of our talent and our product within the rural-urban relationship. But I always look to increase and improve that relationship so that all 8 counties feel part of one cohesive region.
Commissioner DeStito.
Thank you. So I'm going to follow through on that because you are doing such a great job, and I want to really commend you for your presentation. And I live here during the week, and I can see what's going on. And thank you for using our beautiful fireworks over the Capitol in your presentation. OGS thanks you for doing so.
Thank you for presenting them.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank Governor Cuomo. But I want to ask a question that we ask a lot of the regions, and that is the unskilled workforce. Do you think about the jobs for the unskilled workforce, the workforce that isn't going to get a STEM graduation or diploma, certificate, but needs to be part of, and that's probably part of the opportunity agenda. I know you've talked about the Trinity, but do you think even deeper into the rest of the region for that purpose?
Last year, as Robert and I became co-chairs virtually simultaneously, we created the work groups. And the one I think that was closest to both of our hearts was that on the workforce and education. So, Commissioner, I'm very proud of the fact that Drew Matnack, who is the president of Hudson Valley Community College, is here. He chaired that as a volunteer last year. He's now a council member by gubernatorial appointment this year. As a volunteer last year, he co-chaired that council. And Drew, if you could just stand up and tell us the significant progress we're making in dealing with the population that you're identifying.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate that, and I appreciate the opportunity of working with the council. I think that, as Jim indicated earlier in the presentation, this has been an evolution as a council. We've built on each year as we progressed. And the one thing that I can tell you that I'm so proud of is the amount of collaboration. And I know that was the emphasis of the governor. A collaboration across sectors and a collaboration with higher ed, K-12.
That we are focused on the entire continuum, cradle to career, and they've been partners in the region, and that partnership expands beyond just Albany. And we recognize that in Schenectady and Troy and a number of our underserved communities that we have to connect those residents to jobs. And we have seen the really evaporation of the municipal lines as we think and talk about it as mayors and as municipal leaders, grabbing and reaching out to the resources that are available to us. And it is really incredible to see everyone working together, CDTA, recognizing that transportation is a key component that is a barrier between seeking that education at HVCC or SCCC, and that is happening here because of the council.
And I asked this question because I am a big employer at OGS of a lot of the workers in the Capital District, and we do have a difficulty filling some utility workers and some of the jobs that are not, they're not graduating from CNSC, but we need them. They're good paying jobs, and I think that you know, we need to work together. Thank you.
Well,
Yes, Commissioner, if I may, I'd just like to add that one of the things that Albany is focusing on as a part of his Startup New York campaign is to not only try to locate businesses, high-tech businesses and other kinds of businesses that will be located in proximity to the university. We're also very much interested in locating businesses in underserved communities that will directly employ the people that you're talking about, because transportation becomes a big issue. And we've made it a point to make that a focus of our Startup New York work.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
let's turn to our mayor, Mayor Driscoll.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks, and great presentation, everybody. Good afternoon. I have a question simply in terms of the Global New York Initiative and marketing. Are you targeting specifically industries for that effort, and can you describe to us what those may be and how you are doing that? And then frankly, connecting back to some of the items that we just discussed in terms of vocational opportunities.
The gentleman who's a member of our council who did just yeoman's work on the Global New York paper that, as I said, we just passed last week is Mike Tucker from the Council for Economic Growth. Michael?
Thank you.
Speaking of only the program that I know so intimately, because this is all so new, the medical college, we are already looking at, we have a building prepared on our campus for new companies, for startups, for entrepreneurs who are interested in doing the kinds of research that will create new biotech products, initiatives, some of which will be exported. So there is a whole new opportunity when you cross those two initiatives of the governor. And I think it ought not be lost on any of us.
Thank you. Commissioner Maddox.
Good afternoon. A brief comment and a question. Given the interest of the committee and the opportunity agenda, one of the things that might be helpful going forward is to allow us to have some visibility into how you think about poverty and the poverty rate within the region. We heard from New York City that they're looking at 21%. Central New York earlier today reported 14%. Some of the Finger Lakes communities are looking at rates as high as a third. So in terms of splitting out how our neighbors in those categories are faring, thinking about wage and job growth, right, and segmenting that in terms of wages that are at or near minimum wage versus some of the higher paying roles that you will see in the tech center might be helpful in terms of identifying some opportunities or measuring progress. And then the question relates to Dr. Jones. You had mentioned that within the context of startup, you all are thinking about essentially integrating location, right, transportation, job opportunities as part of the proposals. Has the council considered doing that for non-startup opportunities? So as companies expand, and they're anticipating 100 new jobs, for example, integrating affordable housing with transportation initiatives and perhaps segmenting the workforce in that way, whether that's come up in any of your discussions.
That's come up with our project pipeline for 2015 and 2016. We already have projects, specifically in Menands. We have a great software company that's looking at how they can create more of the atmosphere, that center of gravity behind transportation, housing, not just low-income housing, but a mix of market rate housing and actually developing the community or surrounding their business and how they can actually be part of that ecosystem. To your point, I think that when we have companies that are expanding and doing well in our community, we want them to be good stewards of our community as well. And looking for the help from our region as a whole, whether it be chambers of commerce, the Center for Economic Growth, or our council itself, in helping to drive that center. When my company came from Washington, D.C. to little Glens Falls in Warren County, we revitalized a 8,000 square foot building and saw a resurgence happen around us. And the housing opportunities that we created for our walking staff was fantastic right there in Glens Falls. We're hoping that projects like that in Troy, Schenectady, and Albany will carry that mission forward. And we're seeing it right now with projects like Wellington Row or the Troy waterfront development that we're currently proposing to you in our proposed package. But the expansion of those types of community aspects are of course, what Mayor Sheehan wants us to see and what we are going to continue to produce. Todd has something additional actually to say on that point as well.
So just following up on the idea of transportation, not just for humans, but also for goods and services, I had mentioned the opportunity agenda in the Capital District Community Gardens with an increase of New York State-grown product entering into that neighborhood. That's actually being done via a Veggie Mobile. It's actually a mobile farmer's market. And they've actually increased 100% their capacity by putting a second Veggie Mobile on and some online ordering opportunities. So it's also about the infrastructure on how we move goods as well as people. And so from agriculture and food systems perspectives, less than trailer load LTL goods, how are we actually getting from the rural to the urban areas, and even just the processing. Often the wastewater treatment and the labor for sorting and packing is actually not sitting out in the countryside where the farms are. So that clustering idea is actually happening in systematic approach across some of our sectors.
Thank you.
Let me thank you for what's been an enlightening presentation, extremely interesting one.